So, hi everyone. I am Connie Zabel-Schmucker. I am Advocacy Director at Bicycle Garage Indy. Welcome to the Bicycling Lunch and Learn. And we are pleased to have Karen Smartt join us to talk about winter workout routines to try and keep you motivated during these cold winter snowy days when you can't necessarily get out on your bike or do some things that you normally would do during this time of year. Just so everyone knows, we have these monthly. This is starting our 2022 season. And so these are on the second Thursday of the month from 12 to 1. If you registered on Eventbrite, you can actually go back and register for all of them, and you'll get the emails and Zoom links to them. So we had quite a few people who are interested in this topic, and so we're pleased to have all of you join us. This is recorded as well, so it will be posted online after I get the recording and download it. So I will turn this over to Karen, and I'll unmute myself and stop my video, and you can go ahead and start. So thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Connie. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Karen Smartt, as Connie referenced. I am actually part of the Major Taylor Central Indiana Cycling Club. We are fairly new in terms of we just really kind of introduced our club last early winter. I've actually been cycling for quite some time. It's been roughly, probably about 6 or 7 years now. And I've just kind of been bouncing around from various groups in terms of, different sides of town and just kind of hanging out where, there's cycling events around. So, just kind of developed a strong affinity for it over the past few years. But I can certainly say that, the winter time is the tough point in the year in terms of just trying to keep things going. I have also dabbled with triathlon training. So I've done a little bit of that over the course of the past few years as well. So I kind of adjusted my training routines based on sort of what my goals are for the upcoming season. So, I can't say that it looks the same all the time. I do modify it just to, again, kind of fit the needs for, trying to prepare for upcoming, activities that I want to partake in, in the future seasons. But I will share with you, I have a little PowerPoint that I thought might be just something interesting to kind of keep structured and on point. Let me see if I can share my screen. So in terms of just kind of thinking about winter training, I know all of us probably have more of a preference to do outdoor activity. I know I sure do. I'm more motivated. Certainly in terms of being committed, a lot more committed to doing the outdoor training and workouts. But, I think the thing that helps in terms of kind of shaping your indoor training schedule is to try to regulate and really pinpoint a time frame when you're going to commit to a schedule. So kind of thinking about that, one of the things that I do, I try to kind of transition. So I think about my transition period. And I usually, let's see, one minute. I try to make sure, can you see my PowerPoint, Connie?
Yes.
Okay, great. I did, for a second there, it didn't look like it was showing on my end.
Yeah, it's going.
Okay, great. So I try to just pinpoint a specific time frame annually when I am going to start training, because I think that that's also helpful in terms of developing the motivation and commitment for your schedule. Mine typically, I think, I start thinking about it in the late fall. My gauge generally, obviously weather permitting, I like to stay outdoors as long as possible. But then I usually officially around December the 1st, I call it, I usually just start my indoor training around the 1st of December. And that's where I stay committed throughout the rest of what I call my winter training season. And mine ranges somewhere around March, April there again. Weather, can also influence the timeline of your winter training program. So in terms of just kind of looking at the breakdown, what the program involves, mine specifically, my current program, I focus on kind of 3 target areas. One is called HIT training. And I think I recall that at BGI, they had someone that presented maybe a few weeks ago, a module on HIT training. And that is something that I have also picked up in my schedule. I did this a couple of years ago. I specifically am working with a HIT team. It's a small group of people who come just to do HIT training. The HIT training is basically it's high intensity interval training. And this combines cardio exercise with weight training. It is kind of mostly targeting a total body focus. So, when we go in, we're not just looking at only certain areas to target. We look at total body workout. And, the great thing about it is, you can kind of hit those key points in terms of making sure that you have, your endurance with the cardio. You're working on your strength training, obviously, with the weight training. And, that really, I think, kind of gives the best of both worlds in terms of, overall fitness. I typically do that about 3 days a week. And, nothing less than 60 minutes. So 60 minutes, my schedule is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or Thursdays, excuse me. So I do it again, pretty much, every other day. I do a HIT training workout. I also do weight training specifically. Now this entails a little bit more in terms of heavy weightlifting, max burnout. So, really loading up on strength training, really trying to target. Here's where I do target. In terms of upper body on one day, lower body on the other day. And I do that 2 days a week. And that kind of ranges from one of the days it's 60 minutes and the other it's 2 hours. So again, kind of reinforcing a little bit of strength training. I try to avoid and kind of back off of doing a lot of strength training during our ride season. When the ride season picks up, the intensity of that, it's really difficult and not recommended to do a lot of strength training. Obviously, that can kind of take away from your endurance. So I really try to work really hard on developing more strength training or developing more strength through the winter training season. So that's one of my, again, areas that I really try to target. And then I also do indoor cycling. And this isn't really, mine is not a spin class per se. I do that sometimes too, where I go to like a gym, a local gym, and do spin. But I actually do indoor training where you put your bike on a trainer. And I actually go to a program where there is someone there that does provide some, facilitation. So that is, again, something that helps me stay motivated. I need someone to yell at me and tell me that I'm not pushing hard enough. So I like it that, it has really benefited me in a great way. I feel like, at the transition period of going into the new season, I feel like my endurance level is much better. So I actually do that 2 days a week. Our workouts are 90 minutes. It's broken down into 30 minutes of core exercises, which there again, thinking about trying to make sure that you cross train quite a bit during the winter. The core training has been key in terms of, again, providing a little bit more in terms of advancing my strength. And we do 60 minutes of interval cycling, which there again, some days we do focus on sprints. In the other days, we focus on tempo or endurance rides. And that's 2 days a week. I usually do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays is how I incorporated it in my schedule. So just kind of giving you an overview, I typically only have kind of one rest day. Everybody's different. That's not something that I would say I recommend for everyone. You got to find your best fit. But for me, right now, that's kind of what my schedule, how I formulated it. So, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. And Saturdays are kind of one of those that kind of floats for me. Sometimes I will do, there's an option of doing an indoor Saturday class. Sometimes I will do that, or I'll get out and I'll do a 3-mile run just to kind of keep some endurance outside, some endurance activity that, is an outdoor activity. Obviously, the last few days have been interesting with, snow melting or when there was more snow on the ground, it makes it difficult to do something like running outside. But, again, ideally, just trying to think about cross training throughout the season. And in terms of just overall benefit, the factors that I think for me have worked best is, working out with others for the camaraderie, getting yourself outside of the house and, meeting up with others just to, again, get that, encouragement, the motivation, the inspiration of work, being able to work out with others. The other is cross training. I think, it adds more variety to your routine and, making sure, again, that you're doing some of those things that maybe during the cycling season, you're not, you're incorporating some activities that can hopefully help your body, again, gain more strength, flexibility, all of those things, and also kind of preventative too. So, hopefully, less injuries up ahead. And then adhering to a structured schedule. That's the main thing for me. I very seldom deviate from my schedule. It's become kind of part of my daily routine, and that has helped me significantly. And that's something I would encourage as you are trying to kind of work through the schedules that you have is, trying to structure it so it's something that will work for you. Not everybody likes to do evening workouts. I do, because that's where I find most people have, a group opportunity. And so, evenings work out best, but some people are morning people. So that's where you have to try to find maybe where you can connect with morning options. And then also the learning aspect, the education, learning new exercises, new wellness techniques, that kind of thing. I find that, again, with cross training and incorporating a variety of different things, again, things that you think, again, you will be motivated to do, things that you like, hopefully, there's a greater probability of adhering to them. But again, learning, being able to kind of develop more skills. I think, again, those are all the benefits that I have been able to achieve and, the schedule that I have. And mine, like I said before, does change. It doesn't, this winter's training, last winter's training was different. It's a little less in terms of involving groups, because obviously things were shut down a bit more than where we are right now. And, I'm kind of thinking about transitioning to doing some like triathlon programming. So, it could change, but this is just kind of an example of some of the things that I have done. So I hope that kind of helps you out in terms of maybe comparing what you're doing or see something there that interests you. I think I'm at the end. Are there questions or things that I can answer in terms of what my schedule looks like?
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, if you want to type them into the chat or unmute yourself to ask, feel free to do that. And I think what I'll do is stop sharing your screen, Karen, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. Here, I got it.
Then we can put everybody back on. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, if you want to type them into the chat or just unmute yourself, feel free to do that. I will mention, yes, you did mention Phil Campbell. We actually had an online webinar with him on January 12th, and then he came in person. We usually have him come in person every year. Last year, we weren't able to do it, of course, because of the pandemic. And this year we did have him come in person. So he's a world of knowledge about sprint intensity training, which is a little bit higher intensity, actually, even than HIIT training, and the science behind that. So we have on BGI's, I'll put a link to that in the chat with a link to his webinar. So if people are interested in that, it's a little bit different, similar to HIIT, but a little bit more intense. And he goes into the differences between that. And when I was able to go into the store on a regular basis, I did that during my winter. was try and do it on BGI's equipment. The Sprint 8 protocol is 20 minutes, where you have 30 seconds of really, really intense, and then 90 seconds just basic, trying to just keep moving a little bit. And then you go 30 seconds all out. And the thing is, if you go 30 seconds and you think you can do a couple more seconds, you didn't do it. You didn't do it hard enough. So it has to be super hard. I'm not sure I ever got that. But it has, wonderful. I encourage people to look into that as well. So I'll put a couple of links to that in the chat. And then
was that on a bike?
It could be on anything. He actually he prefers the recumbent bike because to use it, or the elliptical, but you can do it running, you can do it. It's a little harder to do on a treadmill, but you can do it. And any type of quick, you could just do running upstairs for 30 seconds, or just running in place for 30 seconds. He actually has a video of his daughter, who's a teacher, who uses it in the classroom and has the kids walk around during the active rest period, and then stand in place and run in place really quick for 30 seconds. And actually they found that, I'll go ahead and put my video back on. They found that her test scores in her classroom just skyrocketed when she started doing that.
Can I inject a little bit here?
Sure.
You guys and your structure just scared the heck out of me. I saw the fartlek reference there, and I used to do fartlek when I was a serious runner, and the variation there is there's no time involved. I mean, Karen has this structured schedule, and that's great, but my winter training routine consists of one rule: don't miss 2 days in a row.
Right.
And then, you know, if I can stick to that, then I'm getting a workout. And I do try, I don't really time my workouts, but when I'm doing indoor stuff, I usually do it in front of Netflix. So I sort of have a built-in timer because it's like, how long is this episode? And I actually started that for my indoor training when I was training for my cross-country ride. That was back when Netflix would let you put your movies in order. And so I made a Netflix queue of movies that started from shortest to longest. So every day I wrote a few more minutes because the movie was a little bit longer than the day before. And that was the extent of my timing and all that. So a message I don't want to get lost, because I'm sure it would have come from Cassie if we were in Mexico, is yeah, you only need as much structure as makes you comfortable, but you do need some minimum structure to keep you motivated. And that's why, like, my rule of don't go 2 days in a row. So I can always miss today if I did something yesterday, which motivates me actually to do more days, because I always think, well, what if tomorrow I want to skip? Then I better do something today. So I probably end up right where you are, Karen. Well, I have one rest day a week and I'm doing something the others, but the something is usually just spending some time on my bike. I alternate between rollers and a mag trainer. And now that I have 2 giant dogs, I sometimes count walking them as a workout because hanging on to them takes a little effort. So I just want to inject that because I tell people all the time, if you were a Rocky fan, you can train the Ivan Drago way, or you could train the Rocky way. Chop some wood, flip some tires, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not very structured at all in the winter. I always get remotivated every time Phil Campbell comes into town and say, yes, I'm going to do the Sprint 8 for the next 8 weeks. But what I'm trying to do actually is just go on walks in my neighborhood, get outside, take some time away from the computer and all of that. I really miss my bike rides, my daily bike rides during the winter. And so I have to get outside in some way. And when I don't, then it's not good.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I know it's interesting, Karen, you talked about like fixing, this is the day I go indoors and this is the day I come back out. And those transition periods are the hardest for me, particularly as winter ends and we have those few warm days. I always try to not go out because I know that there's more cold coming and it'll make me even more depressed when it comes.
That's exactly why I do it. Exactly.
Yeah. Spring fever is like next week. There's supposed to be a day of 55 degrees.
Right.
And it's like, oh man. Yeah. April, I think, is my worst month because I don't expect to really get out in February or March, on a regular basis. But April, you have enough kind of warm days, but it's really not consistent until we get to May, at least for me. Though my temperature of going outside bicycling has kept lowering. So
mine too. I think it's better gear.
Yeah, it might be better gear. I mean, I can, if it's 40 degrees, I'll go out. 40 and sunny. But once there's salt on the roads, I don't like getting my bike all cruddy either. So that's kind of that keeps me walking versus biking. But
almost a topic in itself, right? Keeping your bike clean in winter months.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And now is the time to actually clean your bike and get it all ready for when you really want to ride.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Does anybody transition their bike, like, for example, shifting from a road bike to maybe a fat tire bike or a mountain bike? Anybody do that or transition the type of bike?
No, I do. I have a cyclocross bike, but I treat it as a road bike, and then I built like a 29 plus monster cross thing. And so if the weather's kind of weird, then I'll ride that.
Interesting.
And Krista says she has a winter commuter for the cold months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not me. I go in the basement.
Well, you don't like cold weather anyway, Damon.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, yeah, winter is, between the cold temperatures and the lack of sun and the lack of daylight, it's really hard to get motivated to get outside sometimes, or get and then that just kind of continues the, not being motivated to do anything.
Right.
So having a schedule or having
Oh, Greg, you're a tough guy.
having stuff to do and having a schedule, I think I'm, different people have different motivations. I'm motivated by goals. And so like if I never have a goal in the winter is my problem, but I usually have a cycling goal. Karen, do you have goals of things that you want to accomplish in the winter?
Mainly a little bit of bodybuilding, and that way I can kind of target, again, kind of muscle groups, and, because I try to back off of that. That really, I made the mistake kind of being naive early on in my, whatever you want to call it, cycling career. I tried to incorporate both, and, paid dearly, especially if you're doing any endurance cycling. It is, they don't go together very well. Doing strength training and then going off to a long ride. Horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I think I've taken advantage of in the winter, and Cassie would attest to this, is I try some of those things that, when the weather's nice, I think I could do this or ride my bike, and ride my bike always wins. So like when Cassie wasn't traveling the world, I would take her yoga classes in the winter, and I hate yoga and yoga hates me, but it gave me a chance to get some of that socialization, because yoga classes have other people. And I've tried several other things in the winter that are alternate ways of getting some exercise that I know I'm not going to do during the riding season. It's too bad I can't golf in the winter, because every day that's a beautiful golf day is also a beautiful bike day.
Hey, you should try it. Maybe you can come up with something new. See what happens.
You could bike from hole to hole. I'm not sure how you would get your clubs there, but you could.
I've been
Or
working
top
on
golf.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that we couldn't get Cassie.
Yeah, I
had some
apologize
kinda-
for that. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either until she said, I can't get in. It's like, sure you can. But she has committed to tagging on to one of our future lunch and learn. She's supposed to be back in Indy sometime in March. So we'll get her.
All right. Yeah, so everyone, we've got, a great schedule, we think, hopefully. There was a lot of interest for this one. We had 30 people register, which is awesome. And like I said in the introduction, we'll have this recording posted for those who weren't able to come for whatever reason, or for those of you who might want to see Karen's presentation again. These lunch and learns are actually sponsored, or partners. Our partners are Bicycle Garage Indy, Bike Indianapolis, Commuter Connect, Central Indiana Bicycling Association, and the YMCA. I hope I got everybody.
I think you did.
And, so we're really pleased to have those. If you go to indybikehub.org, that has the list of all of them with the link to register for the rest of them. And that's where I'll put the link to the recording as well. So I'll put that in chat so everyone has that as well. But you'll be able to, get what the schedule is. And if you missed any of the recordings, there's also on that page the archive recordings of last year's lunch and learn. So if there's any, if you're going to do some long interval training or long training on a, and you want to watch one of those, we've got all of those ready to go as well for you.
And if you want an outdoor activity to look forward to, you've already missed the polar bear ride, or maybe you didn't, you were there. It was a really cold day, really cold day. The next big gathering will be Bike to the Ballpark. Opening day for the Indians, April 7th. It's a short ride from Sun King Brewery downtown over to Victory Field, where you will have valet bike parking inside the ballpark. So you can come out and watch the Indians. I forget who they're playing. They usually start their season against the Toledo Mud Hens, but I'm not sure that's who it is this year. And the Indians offer a 60-degree guarantee. If the temperature is not 60 degrees at the first pitch, everybody gets a ticket for another Indians game. So you can get a 2-for-1 because on April 7th, it's probably not going to be 60 degrees. All right, I think we're done.
I think we're done at this point. So unless anybody has any additional questions, feel free to email either me or Damon with any suggestions for future lunch and learns. We have the schedule, but that doesn't mean we couldn't add something or we couldn't, use those ideas for future lunch and learns in the next year. So we're always looking for new ideas, and have a great rest of your day, and see you later.
Enjoy the heat wave next week.
Yeah.
And thanks, Karen, for your presentation.
Thanks so much, Karen.
You're most welcome. My pleasure. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.